baby. All right. You looking live at sold out MetLife Stadium, where today the 16-0 and playoff bound New York Giants are taking on the 0-16 Philadelphia Eagles. Why are the Philadelphia Eagles 0-16? Because they suck. They lost the Super Bowl because they suck. The Philadelphia Eagles have always sucked, and the Philadelphia Eagles will always suck. Welcome to the Gridiron. That just rolls right off the tongue. The Philadelphia Eagles suck. Oh, yeah. Welcome to the Gridiron. Anybody out there? Anybody out there is going to spend a little bit of time with me here this evening, I greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much. Or if anybody spends any time watching a replay of this, once again, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. I'm going to try to go about 30 minutes tonight here. Shoot my mouth off for about 30 minutes. Anybody got anything to say? Please feel free, fire away, throw it in the chat box. I usually try to check on the chat box like every 5 or 10 minutes or so. So if anything pops up in there, I try to respond to it as fast as I can. So please feel free, fire away. Instead of me just rambling on like 30 minutes or whatever by myself. It's nice to talk to somebody sometimes. So please feel free, fire away. Before we get started, anybody wants to help support my channel? In the description box below, the top link in the description box takes you to my membership page. I got 3 different membership levels. The first one's called the Saquon. The second membership level is called the Lawrence Taylor, and the third membership level I got is called the Gridiron. Each one's got their own little perks to them. So if anybody wants to help support my channel, it would mean the world to me. Thank you. If you are subscribed to my channel, once again, thank you so much. I can use all the support I can get, guys. If you're not, please go down below, hit the subscribe button, and hit the bell icon. That way, next time I go live or put a video out, you'll be notified. And it's free of charge. What do you got to lose, right? But if you are subscribed to my channel, thank you once again. Thank you. And then finally, in the description box below, there's 2 links, 2 Facebook links, okay? The top Facebook link takes you to my Facebook group. It's called the New York Giants Gridiron. I say this every video. My YouTube channel, my Facebook group, my Facebook page is all called the New York Giants Gridiron. That way, a moron like me, I don't got to like, what's the group called? What's my page is called? What? It's all called the same thing. Right? Basically, New York Giants, the Gridiron. Okay. We just went over 3,100 members. Okay. We were holding tight at 3,000 members for a while, but we finally got over the 3,100 member mark. And this is like 7 days a week. I'm always putting stuff in there. Once I get done with this, the video here on YouTube, usually I spend probably close to about 2 hours sometimes putting stuff in the group and the page. Okay. But if you go to the group and you become a member, okay, not only do I put stuff in here every day, but members put stuff in here as well, too. Okay. So there's a ton of New York Giants stuff going in here every day. And then the second Facebook link, okay, in the description box below, takes you to my Facebook page. Okay. So I'm the administrator, so I'm the only one to post anything in here, but it's a page. What do we got? We have over 1,100 people who like it. We have over 4,500 people who are following it. Okay. It's the same thing. It's like 7 days a week. Once I get done with the video here, between the group and the page, I spend probably close to a couple hours. Sometimes just, putting posts and pictures and videos and all kinds of stuff on here. Right. And I don't commingle them. So basically the stuff that I put in the page, for the most part, I don't put in the group, and whenever I put in the group, once again, for the most part, I don't put in the page. So, usually I try to keep them separate. You know what I mean? So if you go to the page and you like it and you follow it, and you go to the group and you become a member, between the two, you get a ton of New York Giants information every day. And like I say in every video, if you're not completely satisfied, you get your money back guaranteed. All right, with all that stuff said and done, all out of the way with everything, I saw a great article. It really is good. I mean, man, I tell you what, we're so freaking lucky with this stuff. I mean, you can go on and on talking about, the draft gurus that are out there, people that make up these draft guys, people that make up these videos, people that basically spend their lives watching the draft, the college players breaking down what they're good at and what they're not good at and all that stuff. I mean, we're so lucky we have access to all of that stuff, right? 24/7, basically on the tip of your fingers, right? I mean, it wasn't like that, obviously, years ago. But I saw this one good article. Is it from The Athletic? I want to make sure I give them credit here where credit's due. Yeah, The Athletic. And it was really lots of good, solid stuff in there. It says, inside the Giants draft war room, why things got kind of tense after Flowers and Addison were picked. And I mean, it just starting to seem like, there was, because there was still, when I was going live the first round, there was a point in time where it's like, if you go, and I'm going to go over this. I mean, it's kind of freaky, I mean, there's a certain point. I got to look at what number it was and all and everything. But the Giants were guaranteed to get one, and if I was even throwing a center in there too. I didn't know John Michael Schmitz was going to fall to him in the second round, right? I didn't know. But I was just saying, okay, well, there's 4 wide receivers still left. There's 2 cornerbacks and there's a center. So guaranteed that one of these guys is going to fall to the Giants, But as the way things start falling, I mean, let me pick this up here. Let's go. I got 3,000 tabs open up here. All right, so if you go to once after the Jets pick Will McDonald. Okay, the edge from Iowa State. Okay, we went to the Washington Commanders. Okay, now this is how to weird the draft can be sometimes. So we were getting the pick 16 with the Commanders. They did. Hey, I tell you what, I got to give them some kudos. Emmanuel Forbes, 2 thumbs up. Good pick. Good freaking pick. So unfortunately, we're going to be playing him twice a year. So, but if you go once pick 16 starts rolling around and the Commanders are going. Do you realize that more running backs were off the board, okay, than cornerbacks and wide receivers combined? I mean, right? Where'd Witherspoon go? He went to the Seahawks in number 5, okay? So, right? Yeah. Right? Yeah. I mean, I can see, Robinson going to number 8 just before the Eagles. Thankfully for that. But yeah, of course, then the Lions. I mean, Jahmyr Gibbs. I mean, good, solid running back. You can't complain about that at all. Okay, right? But you probably could have gotten a guy maybe in the second round. Then they took Campbell later on. What pick was that? 18. I mean. Might have gotten him maybe in the second round. I mean, they got a couple good guys. I give you credit for that, but I mean, Jahmyr Gibbs at number 12. I mean, okay. But as I say, how weird things are. More running backs for somehow were off the board than cornerbacks and wide receivers combined. So, I mean, if you start looking, all right, what we got here? Okay. All right. So the Commanders came, they took Forbes. Okay, and Gonzalez was still there. So then the Patriots came, you know what I mean? So what do we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. All right. So then you go 6 out of the next 8 picks, okay, were cornerbacks and wide receivers. All right. So then, not to mention the run. I mean, we can say run on wide receivers because we got 4 of them in a row came off the board. That's how things got a little bit crazy. Because you figure Emmanuel Forbes went off the board at 16 with the Commanders. Then the Patriots took Gonzalez. Once again, good pick. You can't go wrong with him. Then Cansey came off the board, okay, from the Bucs. Then, all right, then you had the run. I'm saying Campbell came off the board with the Lions at 18. The Bucs took Cansey. Okay. Then you had the run. I mean, you had Njigba go, then you had Johnston go, you had Flowers go, you had Addison go. It's like, what the, I mean, so that's when things started getting a little tense. So I guess the Giants maybe obviously really seemed to want Banks. I mean, because some people had a little maybe backing off maybe a little bit on Joey Porter, maybe a little grabby, right? Some people were kind of saying that's why he wound up falling to the second round, but it worked out for him. He's where his father played at the Pittsburgh Steelers. They got him at number 32. But it just seemed like maybe the Giants, wanted one of those 4 wide receivers. Okay, and then they had Banks, right? So it just got to the point where, and then just to kind of show you how kind of crazy things are. I mean, Minnesota rolls around at number 23. Well, what was Minnesota's problem? I mean, last year, right? Well, what was Minnesota's problem? They couldn't stop anybody. I mean, they made Daniel Jones look like Joe Montana out there, right? I mean, right? I mean, as good as we looked against Minnesota, then you go up against a real good defense like the Eagles, and it kind of puts you back in perspective, right? We're not quite as good as we thought we were, but we're kind of like walking up. Oh, what's up, Terrence? I mean, we're kind of walking up and down the field on them. Hey, man, we got a great offense here. Wasn't bad. We certainly need some improvement. But I mean, so you think that they'd maybe take somebody on defense? Nah. We'll take another one. We'll take another wide receiver. We can't stop anybody, but we'll just go grab another. We're going to outscore everybody 55-54, right? Wait, I'm sorry. Who did they take? Did they take, was it Flowers or Addison? They took Addison. So we're going to get Jefferson. We're going to get Addison out there. We still got Cooks, right? We got, who's it? Hawkinson, the tight end. I mean, good offense, good freaking studs they got there. But we're just going to put up 55 points. We're going to give up 54, but we'll outscore everybody. All right, that's fine with you. So, I don't know why they would have wanted to take anybody on defense, but, So when Shane was talking about things getting kind of a little tense, like all of a sudden, all these guys, all these wide receivers came off the board. What you hear, maybe Johnson and Jigba would probably go first, and then maybe Flowers and Addison would be there. Possibility of one of those guys maybe being there for the Giants. So possibly the Giants wanted one of those wide receivers. Well, things started getting a little tense, okay? And said, especially all 4 of them went off the board, boom, 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 right? And then especially when Minnesota is coming there, they need defense now. Don't take a wide receiver. Okay, yeah, you go do that, Minnesota. All right. But so then when Jacksonville was there, it's like, right? And I'm going to go, and then I'm going to go, right? Jacksonville traded back with with the Giants to 25, so what Buffalo do. Right. But this is what you got to do. If you got a guy there, if you're like 300 players away from having somewhat decent team, I can say you're just letting the guys fall to you and stuff. If you need some, the Giants are starting to get to that point where, they still got some holes, right? It's maybe some good quality depth and maybe some of the positions, but we still got some holes in it. But if you're looking at, it's still a process, and you got maybe at least this year, and we got to throw next year into it too. Maybe grab another good free agent, maybe have another good draft where if we can get the top 3 picks next year, maybe to be contributors, starters, and all that, and you get another good draft free agent or so. Now we're starting to maybe knock on maybe the division door or something like that, right? More of a real complete team, maybe closing the gap with the Cowboys and Eagles even a little bit more, right? But we're getting close. So if there's a guy, if they were that falling in love with, like, it's tough to say if they fell in love with Banks that much, or if they were just kind of panicking because all the guys came off the board. Right. As I said, you had 6 out of 8 picks. 2 of them were cornerbacks and 4 of them wide receivers. All came off the board. So all of a sudden, they basically maybe they were down to one more guy that they felt that they wanted to get in the first round. Maybe that's where the little panic set in. So he just if you got a guy there that you really really want, you got to go get him. Right. So they gave up a 5th and a 7th. Okay. Maybe the 5th round might have been some decent depth at one of the positions. The 7th rounder. But once again, all of our draft picks going to make the team? Quite possibly not. Okay. And as I said, especially the draft picks, then we got all this undrafted free agents we got rolling in, right? So between the draft picks and on the drafted free agents is what, like 21, 22 more guys coming in. Are they making the team? No. Right. So, if you got to get a guy, or if you fall in love with a guy or whatever, there's nothing wrong with just jumping even up one spot to go get the guy, because they got information. It's not like they're just standing there. Yeah, okay, he'll fall to us. Yeah, we'll get back. Yeah, it's cool. Nobody's going to jump in front of us. Nobody would do that. No, guys, this is everybody's, friends or whatever like that, but you're there to win, right? This is a cutthroat, right? If they can jump in front of you, like what the Eagles did with DeVonta Smith, even trading with the Cowboys, right? To get the guy, that's what you do, okay? So if you got to just jump up one spot, they know who's behind them, right? They know, who Shane even said this. We know, who's in front, who's behind, what they need, what they might be looking for, right? And they possibly felt that Banks was maybe the top, maybe maybe they had 5 cornerbacks in the top tier, okay? And Banks was the 5th one. And then there was a little bit of a drop-off, okay? So they felt that maybe Banks was up in that top tier, and if somebody else from behind, they did not want to have that happen, right? Somebody jumped right in front of them, snagged Banks right out of there, right out of there, and then the Giants like, what the hell, right? I was thrilled. I was worried and thrilled because in round 2, the Bears, who needed a center, jumped right in front of the Giants, okay? And I forgot who they took. Let me see. Let's see. The Giants took Tyreek Stevenson, cornerback. I'm not sure why they would jump in front of the Giants to take a cornerback when the Giants just took a cornerback. But the Bears jumped in front of the Giants to take a cornerback. Okay, maybe they felt maybe somebody else was going to jump. I don't know. Or maybe the Cowboys might have jumped up to maybe grab him. Maybe that's what they thought. But when they jumped in front of the Giants and I saw that they needed a center, I'm like, man, they're going to take Michael Schmitz, but they took Stevenson. I'm like, yes, thank you. But we also look too, okay, then what did the Bills do? Okay, the Bills traded up at, what were they, 27? I guess 27. Looks like 27, yeah. So they traded with the Jaguars. They jumped from 27 to 25, okay, and to jump in front of the Cowboys because they wanted the Dalton Kincaid. What did the Cowboys need? They lost Schultz. They got Schoonmaker, okay, a decent, okay, good. I think second round. Was it the second round? I think that they took him. So a good tight end, but I think Dalton Kincaid's got the little bit of a nod over him, okay? I think, so that's what you got to do. That's what you got to do. I mean, if you got to give, if you're close and you only need 4, 5, 6 more pieces or so to the puzzle to your really good team, go get the guy, right? So that's what the Bills did. They jumped in front of the Cowboys, and it left the Cowboys with Mazi Smith from the defensive tackle from Michigan. Okay, they went and they got their guy. They got their tight end. All right, but the Giants, what they did do, they wanted Deonte Banks, or possibly, if Banks was taken and Addison was still there, well, they maybe jumped up to grab Addison, right? But they did what they had to do to get the guy. I mean, as I said, if there's a point in time where, as I said, if they need like half an offense and half a defense or something like that, you don't want to really trade, kind of like what they did last year. They needed bodies last year. So last year, what did they do? They traded back in the second round, got some extra picks, right? Got some more, more players, more draft picks, more draft capital, right? So that helped fill in their team, right? They're starting to get to the point where, they only need, so many more pieces to the puzzle, right? Be interesting to see next year what happens, especially with free agency and the drafts and all, because who do we keep? Are we keeping Leonard Smith or is Oshane Robinson? Same thing with Oshane Robinson. Signed him for 1 year. Leonard Williams is last year. What are we doing with Adoree Jackson? So we're going to, Mark Lewinsky, right? Are we going to let him go? We could let him go after the season. So, be interesting to see. But, we're starting to get there. We got a ton of offensive linemen, right? If we can keep Saquon, we got a bunch of running backs, right? We got a ton of wide receivers. A lot of these guys ain't going to make the team. Got a ton of tight ends, right? So, we're bringing in a lot of guys. We got a lot of good quality depth, right? So, be interesting to see, where we go from here. But, that was, all of a sudden, wide receiver went off the board, wide receiver off the board, wide receiver off the board, wide receiver. It's like, what the, so things got a little tense there, I guess, and they had to do what they had to do. So, if you got to get your guy, I mean, it's not like, oh shucks, we just didn't get him. Darn, no, you go get your guy. I mean, this is not romper room here, guys. You know what I mean? You're here to win it. You can be friends and shake hands with all the other guys, GMs, and laugh and, hold hands and sing Kumbaya after the draft's over with and everything. But, you're there to win it. You see your guy, you go freaking get him. Okay, so plain and simple as that. So, hey, he gave up a 5th and a 7th to move up one spot, but they got their guy. Wink was very happy. Okay, Wink was very, very happy. So I'm excited to see Banks out there on the field. Should be good. Between him and Adoree Jackson, should be good. But then also in this one article, they showed a whole bunch of stuff, like what Shane was talking about, right? They're showing like per se what he winds up, what he looks for in players. Okay. If it allows me to, boy, got to offer. Oh my God. I had this thing. Now they're not even going to let me do it anymore. Unlock, get offer. Let me see if I'm allowed to. Nope. Wow. It's from The Athletic. Okay. It was an article, and now I want to look in a lot of their articles. Sometimes you're supposed to wind up, they want you to subscribe and I can't access The Athletic for just 50 cents a week. They won't let me do it. But but in this article from The Athletic, okay, unfortunately, they're not letting me view the article anymore. I was viewing the article. Oh wait, you know what? It was still on my phone? Let me see here. Oh, here we go. Okay, it's on my phone. Unless they screw me over here. All right. Sometimes with some of these, like The Athletic, the New York Times, New York Post, sometimes if you check out too many of their articles, they won't let you view any of their articles anymore. All right. But if you start looking, all right, it says there's some draft patterns, okay, that Shane has. It says with 2 years of draft data to analyze, Shane's trends have come into greater focus. Once again, the Giants' list of pre-draft visits were kind of, teams are allowed 30 of the pre-draft visitors. All right. Shane clearly values those opportunities to spend extensive times with prospects. Of this year's 7 picks, 3 of them made pre-draft visits. Okay. Deonte Banks, Jalen Hyatt, and Trey Hawkins. So I'm going to go over in a minute here. Okay. Hawkins' visit continues a trend of later picks visiting as last year. Okay. Let me get the heck out of this here. All right. Last year, Cordell Flott, okay, Dane Belton, and DJ Davidson last year all made pre-draft visits to the Giants, okay. Hawkins impressed at the Hula Bowl, then posted strong numbers at Old Dominion's Pro Day. He wasn't invited to the Combine. So some of these guys, I mean, like I think it was Trey Hawkins and Riley, I believe. I couldn't even find any information on some of those guys. I was looking. I couldn't find any information. Riley, I don't even think I can find a birthday on that guy. Some of these guys, it's like they don't even exist. It's so amazing how they'll have information, like 3 pages information on all these other guys, and I'm like, where's Trey Hawkins at? What's going on? They ain't got nothing on him. The Giants conducted private workouts at pro day meetings with their other picks. It seems obvious that teams would want to spend as much time as possible with prospects, but past regimes have taken players after having minimal contact during the pre-draft process. Shane again leaned toward players from big schools. Okay, not from Hawkins, no, right? not a big school. Okay. Hawkins, I mean, he only had like 2 years, I believe it was. Right? He was at apparently at Old Dominion since 2020, but he didn't play in 2020. I guess maybe for the COVID, possibly, maybe. So basically, he's only got 2 years, okay, of playing. So, but if you look, okay, with Hawkins, his 6th-round pick, okay, Hawkins is the second cornerback selected by the Giants. They took Deonte Banks, obviously. Hawkins is 6 foot, 190 pounds. He set the Old Dominion University record for tackles by a cornerback with 76 in 2021. Dane Brugler of The Athletic had Hawkins rated as a priority free agent in his draft guide. He says, Hawkins, he's long, tall, limber body, gather and go skills to quickly transition vertically and stay attached to receivers. He's bendly athletically. He's Gumby-like, brings in a lengthy nimbleness at the position. All right. He does have a quick burst, right? But I mean, one thing they also talk about is that what Shane likes, okay, is the score, the relative athletic score. I mean, a couple of these guys, I'm going to go over somebody else here too, but if you look at Trey Hawkins, my goodness, 9.82. It was his RAS score. The thing that brought him down was his weight. They have him 188 pounds. So even if he's like 190, that brought him down. But if you look at his scores, my goodness. I mean, we're talking, 4.42, a 20-yard split of 2.5. I mean, the 10-yard split, he did phenomenal. The 3-cone is a 6.74. His broad jump, right, is great. His vertical, 37.5 inches. So Shane really seems to value, athletes. As I said, Trey Hawkins, out of a possible 10, was a 9.82, which ranked him 40th out of 2,212 cornerbacks in the past 35 years. Trey Hawkins. Okay. So he's raw. All right, let's get him under, Henderson and Wink and all. Right, let's him maybe work a little magic with him. Let's see what he starts doing. Okay, but he's got some traits there, and he's a phenomenal athlete. My God, he's the 40th ranked cornerback in the past 35 years. Right. Then they show Javarius Owens. Okay, once again. Javarius Owens was drafted with pick 254, okay? So he's another, obviously, defensive back, I believe, or more of a safety, but he graded out 9.21 out of 10. The thing that basically brought him down was his weight. His weight, he scored a 3.08 on his weight. He's only 193 pounds, so they want him to be maybe a little bit heavier, okay? But if you look at him, okay, Javarius Owens, athletic-wise, he is 9.21 out of a possible 10. That ranked him 78th out of 976 free safeties in the past 35 years. Okay. So, Shane really values, okay, you look, I mean, Riley, the defensive tackle that they got, I mean, he graded out really low, but he's not to be so much of an athlete. That he's there for a purpose, to clog up the middle, and that's what he'll do. Okay. So that's something that Shane really, I mean, you even look last year, I don't remember all the scores and whatever, but if you look last year, some of those RAS scores for some of the guys that they drafted last year were really, really good, really impressive. So even if maybe they only have a couple of years, right, with Hawkins at Old Dominion, okay, a couple of years of experience, right? But if you got some traits there, and if you're a good athlete, okay, you got to be, you can't have any, dead bodies in the closet kind of thing. You can't have any, maybe a history of problems or what, so I mean, I'm sure there's that too. Hopefully, probably not a long, extensive history of injuries. I mean, if you had an injury, you had an injury. It's football. It's going to happen. But I mean, if you were injured probably every year for 3 or 4 years in a row on the show, they're not going to take you either. So there's a lot more involved in it that. But if you start looking at it, I mean, Shane said even if the guys don't have a ton of experience, if they have some character traits there, but if they're good athletes, so. And one thing was they were talking about with Hawkins, why they got him in like the 6th round was because they knew that Hawkins also had a pre-draft visit with the Colts. Okay. And I think I've read in this article that between the Giants' 6th and 7th round picks, I think it said they had the Colts. I think I can look. Let me see here. Let's see if I can count here. All right, let's see. We got to go way down here. All right, let's see here. I say the Giants. I gotta find them here. 6th round. Where the heck are they? Giants are Hawkins 209. So let's count here. Let me count the Colts. Yep, 211, 221, and they said this and 236. Yep. So they had 3 picks. The Colts had 3 picks. In between the Giants' 6th and 7th round picks, right? So the Giants knew that once again, they got their homework and all this stuff. They knew that Hawkins visited them. So there was a possibility maybe the Giants, if you want to say maybe reached for him, maybe in the 6th round, maybe they could have got him in the 7th. Well, they didn't maybe think so because they thought that maybe one of those 3 picks that the Colts had, they might have scoffed them up if the Giants waited for the 7th round. So they're putting a premium on him. Okay, maybe they can get him on the practice squad if he doesn't make the team. Maybe he makes the team as special teams. But he said he set the Old Dominion universe record, right, for tackles by a cornerback, 76 or 77. So, and he's a good athlete, right? So, and then they show Hooker, right? Hooker, as far as last year's visit, Tennessee Hooker, Hendon Hooker, it seemed useless to spend a visit on a potential 1st-round pick after giving Daniel Jones $160 million. But the Giants viewed Hooker as a potential value pick if the torn ACL he suffered in November caused him to slip to them at number 89. Okay, which it would in the 3rd round. So they wanted to take a closer look at his knee. Sometimes these pre-draft visits, it's not, this guy's on their radar. They want now. Sometimes it's like so they can disqualify the guy, right? They think something wrong. And as I said before, sometimes the guy can even disqualify himself even before he even gets in the building. If he's set to come there at 8:00, right, and you come in at 8:15 or 8:20, just okay, hey, thanks for showing up. Have a good one. Don't let the door hit you in the ass when you know what I mean. Right, so there's a lot just these 30 pre-draft visits. It doesn't mean that the guy's on their radar, right? But quite possibly they wanted, maybe to get Hooker, right? Because they have a talented backup on it. He would be a talented backup on a cheap rookie deal, right? And if they can wind up possibly letting Tyrod Taylor go, and they can have Hooker here on a cheap rookie deal, right? Work with them, right? Develop them, right? But he was taken with the Lions and picked number 68 overall. So that kind of kicked that out the door. Then it says, explaining in this article from The Athletic, it's a good article, right? Explaining the late round selections by the Giants. Hawkins and Riley were projected as undrafted free agents. It was. I mean, it's like I was looking, I'm trying to get stuff on Hawkins. It's like, they drafted him. Cool. And I'm like, looking, how come nobody's got anything on him? And the same thing with Riley. I'm like, well, okay, I'm typing stuff in. Where's Riley at? Where's Riley's stats? He's got what anything on him? And I'm looking for Riley. I'm like, they don't even know this freaking guy's birthday. It's like, are you kidding me? I mean, we got all these draft gurus and all this. I mean, pages and pages and pages of thousands and millions of draft guys coming out. You can't even find this guy's birthday, really? Couldn't even find it. So I mean. Some of these guys were, weren't supposed to be drafted, right? Hawkins Only other pre-draft visit was with the Colts. The Giants knew of that visit. So the Colts were holding 3 picks between the Giants' 6th and 7th round selection. So they took Hawkins with the 6th rounder rather than risk losing him. So they thought that highly of him to bring him in. The Riley selection can be traced, which is true, to George Young's planet theory. George Young was our GM from 1979, because Andy Robustelli was there till 78. 79 was George Young. George Young was there from 79 to, 97, 98, somewhere around there. Then Ernie Corsi took over. Okay. But George Young helped draft, Phil Simms, right? Michael Strahan. Okay. Some dude, Lawrence Taylor. I know a little bit about him, not too much. I think he was pretty good. Carl Banks, on and on. He drafted a lot of talent that got us to the 2 Super Bowls after the 86 and after the 90 season. But the Riley selection can be traced back to former Giants general manager George Young. As I said, was our first official GM. Okay. Planet theory, which was based on the scarcity of people on the planet, which is true, with the size and athleticism to play on the lines in the NFL. I mean, there's people 6'5", 330, but you don't have the athleticism. There's people 330 pounds, but they're not 6'5". There's people 6'5" who aren't 33. I mean, there's people 6'5", you put 330 pounds on them, they can't move, right? So, I mean, it's like Shaquille O'Neal. I mean, you can't build a dude like that, right? I mean, he was blessed, right? God, there you go, Shaquille. You're whatever, 7 foot, 7'1". You're going to be unstoppable. Go get him, Tiger. I mean, there's only so many people like that on the planet, which is true. Okay. Riley would have had a competitive market in undrafted free agency simply due to the fact he's 6'5" and almost 340 pounds. Okay. So the Giants eliminated a bidding war by taking him with the 243rd pick. Right. So, I mean, could there possibly, been somebody maybe a little bit better they could have possibly taken? I guess. But they saw him as a huge value, so that's like, well, just take him. If you draft him, you don't have to worry about the undrafted, right? So they went and they took him, right? So that's why they took that. So then the Giants have roughly, according to this article, $575,000 in salary cap space, according to the National Football NFLPA, right? That won't be enough to cover the draft class, which will cost them approximately $2.5 million in cap space. Okay. Says something has to be done. They got some contracts coming up that they can try to, do stuff with. It says one thing here is that, Kayvon Thibodeau received $14.3 million of his $20 million signing bonus in his first installment. The same thing with Banks. Banks may be inclined to sign this weekend so he can deposit a huge chunk of his $6.9 million signing bonus in early June rather than July. Says, but Shane will have to do some stuff to create some cap space before the rookies sign. Okay, there's all kinds of things. I mean, we're trying to sign Saquon to maybe a long-term deal. Trying to sign Dexter Lawrence to possibly a long-term deal. Right. So, do stuff with there. So if we get there, we get a long-term deal done with Sexy Dexy or Saquon, right? They're usually the first year cap hit is going to come down, right? If we can sign Saquon to something, so instead of his $10.1 million, right, it might come down to maybe $4 or $5 million. Save some money there. Unfortunately, I said, there's other guys out there on the job. I mean, Shane Lemieux, we could let him go. We'd save some money. Darnay Holmes, if we were to let him go, we'd save almost $2.75 million. Right. So we're gonna have some competition in the slot position, the cornerback slot position. So if he doesn't pan out, if they'll let him go, they'll save some money. So there's all kinds of things they can do. Unfortunately, they were also talking about here in this article about maybe extending Leonard Williams or Adoree Jackson and trying to get their cap hit down. I'm not sure if they're going to do anything with Adoree Jackson. I think this might just keep hearing and all. It just seems like this might be his last season, which would bring me to my next thing is that, we got a one cornerback this year. Next year, we might be looking for another cornerback as well. If Banks can maybe slide over, take Adoree Jackson's spot, right? We're going to need somebody to take Banks' spot, right, where he'll be at this year. So we might need another cornerback. But, I mean, if next year, if we can get another cornerback in the first or second round, I know it would be a little boring or whatever, but we might have our cornerbacks for quite some time, right? It's just like the way we got right now. Hopefully, we have our tackles right now. It's not sexy taking tackles in the first round. It's kind of, it's like you get all excited. Yeah, who's our wide receiver going to be? Who's this? We took a tackle. What the hell? I mean, it's not sexy, but if we can actually get Azeez to stay healthy and Kayvon, we might have our edge rushers for quite some time, right? So, as I said, in the next round, in the first round or the second round of the draft next year, if we grab another good, solid cornerback, we might have our cornerbacks for years to come, right? So, and then the Giants said here they also lost a couple of their scouts as well too. Says apparently I didn't know. They said a lot of the scouts signed like a yearly deal or something like that. It's a year by year contract. So they go out and they work for the Giants for a year, and after the draft's over with, I guess the contract's up and they go sign someplace else. So the Giants lost a couple scouts, but they also in that article it says that's kind of commonplace after a draft's over with. But it's kind of interesting to see. I mean, as things go on, how Shane. How his mind is starting to work. There was one other thing I want to kind of go over, is that if I can find it, I'm trying to get all this stuff on my phone. Is that last year the only kind of thing that was a little different last year. Okay, if you'll notice, a lot of the guys the Giants drafted were young. Flat was 20 at the time of the draft, while 6 other picks were 21 years old. Okay. Hyatt this year, is the only 21-year-old in this class. Okay. Second round pick, John Michael Schmitz is 24, while Owens and the 5th round pick, Eric Gray, turned 24 in the fall. Okay. 7th round pick, Jordan Riley's birthday isn't known. It's like, okay, nobody knows the guy's birthday. But considering, when you think with Riley, his birthday's not known, but considering he spent 6 years in college, 2 years in North Carolina, 1 year at Garden City Community College, 2 years at Nebraska, and 1 year at Oregon, he's likely in the 24-year-old club. I mean, if you spend 6 years at college, you go to college basically when you're about 18, you spend 6 years there, you're going to be 24, right? Pretty much. So, that's the one thing. But I mean, a lot of it was also you had like the super senior year, because a lot of people, with the COVID year and all that pushed, so we got the super seniors. A lot of these guys coming out are a little bit older than normal, but it's also interesting. So like last year, a lot of guys were young, right? This year they're a little bit older. But I mean, if you're going to get somebody who's who cares if Michael Schmitz is 24? The guy's going to be your center, hopefully for the next, knock on wood, 10 years or so. Who cares, right? I mean, you can be a center into your 30s with no problem, right? But I find that pretty interesting. But that's from The Athletic. If you can sign in, I lost the ability on my computer, because once you start looking at too many of their articles for free, after a while they want you to subscribe and pay money and all that. And I guess somewhere along the line I'll have to start doing it. But so I read that off my phone. But some pretty interesting stuff, huh? Pretty interesting stuff. But, all right, guys, it's been 43 minutes. Terrence, as always, thank you, brother. Thanks for the comment, man. I appreciate it. So if anybody spends any time checking this out, thank you. If anybody spends any time watching the replay of this, once again, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I greatly appreciate it. And as always, you guys stay safe out there and go Giants. Woo!